Hi, so in the last video, we discussed about some basic use of R, like how do we use R as a calculator. Also, we learned about how to create a dataset as by using sequence or by using rep function, seq function, okay, and so many other ways, right? And also we learned about how do we find the mean, standard deviation of a given data set, okay, and sort the data into increasing order or decreasing order, plot the data, plot pie chart, bar plot, and multiple plots in a single screen, right? Also, we talk about how do we pick certain columns from a data set. For example, suppose a data set has several columns, okay, and how do we pick certain columns only from that data set, okay? So we learned those kind of things, and so on this video I will focus more on some of the operations we learned in the elementary statistics by using R. But before that, I want to show you how do we handle the time series data, okay? So for the time series data, let me this is the lab 2, okay? So again, I also mentioned in the last video that there are several pre-built data set, meaning the built-in data set in R that is stored in R. Now, how do we access those built-in data set is you just look at the line number 2, you just type data and then the parenthesis that will show you all these data sets there, right? And it says that use data package this code to find out the other data set that are stored on those packages, okay? Now, so what was the first data set was air passengers, right? Monthly airline passenger number between 1949 and 1960. So let us open that data, okay? So A is, I'm giving a new name A for the air passenger because I don't want to write air passenger every time. So since I give a new name A for the air passenger data, okay, then it tells you so next time I can just call as A, okay? So for example, let us look at this. A equals to air passenger. Let me run that, and then if I type A, it shows that what are the monthly passenger in a certain airlines, okay? So if you want to know what is the air passenger data, so I can type what is air passenger data, okay? So if you do that and then click run or hit enter, it says monthly airline passenger between 1949 and 1960. So it says the classic Box and Jenkins airlines data. So these are airlines data. So monthly airlines data between 1949 and 1960. Okay. So this is called the time series data. See. So these are on 1949 January, February, March, April, 1950 January. So it is given like that. Okay. Now what is the class? How do we know what types of data set is there? So what we do is class and then type that name of that data, so it is called TS, meaning this is the time series data, okay? Now as usual, if you just try to pick a first column or the second column, third column, if you want to pick one or more column from this data, then this is what you do, right? Data dot frame and then A and just pick that one, A and then bracket comma 1 is picking the first column, and then A and then comma bracket comma 2 will pick the second column, and so on, okay? So if you try to do that, it shows error. Why? Because this is the time series data. If the data is given in the time series, you cannot pick a certain rows or column by the data frame, okay? So what you need to do to pick certain column here is, what you need to do is you need to change this into the matrix, okay? This time series data into the matrix data. How do I do that? Since there are how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, up to there are 12 rows and 12 columns, okay? So what we do here is I'm writing C, I'm giving a new name as matrix. So I want to change this into matrix form, okay? Matrix A, this is the A data, that's the A data set, and 12 rows and 12 columns. So I am taking this time series data out and then write a regular matrix data. Okay, if I do that, then let us see, look at this C matrix. C matrix is missing that name on the rows and column, the caption of the rows and column, but it is copying. Is it copying the same data or not? Look at this. So 100, so in the January 112 150, in the January 112 180. Oh, it is not picking. It sounds like this is, so this row data are writing on the column. You see that? And the column data are writing on the row. So that's not what you want to write this in matrix. So what you need to do is do the same thing on D, matrix A 12 by 12, and by row equals to true. So you want to copy by row, not by column. The default one is it is copying by column. Now you want to do that. Okay, let me run this. So it is copying by row, 112 118, like that. Look at this, copying by row, 112 118 132 and so on. Okay, now so we are able to write this time series data into a regular matrix data, and we copied by row. Okay, this is how you write by row equals to true. We'll copy the data in the matrix form by row. Okay, now you can pick. See, previously when you ran that B equals to that, it was showing error because it was the time series data. Now the matrix D is not a time series data, it is a regular matrix data. Okay, regular, it is just writing all the numbers as an integer. Okay, now E equals to data dot frame. I'm picking the first column, second column, first column, fourth column, and seventh column. First, fourth, and then seventh. That's what I want to pick. Number E, data dot frame. That's what you use. Okay, this is the function you use, data dot frame, if you want to pick certain columns or rows of a matrix. Okay, so if you do that and then if you write that, see, it is picking just those three columns. So first, fourth, and seventh. Now I want to give the name of the column. The first was January, fourth was April, and then the seventh was July. This is what I'm doing. Call names of the matrix E, of the data set E. Okay, so on this E, it has three columns. This is the name that I'm giving. So if you want to do the row names, you can do row and then names, like that. Okay, so let us run that and then do that. Look at this. Now it is giving the name there, right, on the top. Now suppose you want to find out the mean of this column, and this column. So suppose you want to know that what is the average number of passengers between because this was the 1949 and 1960, right? So what is the average number of passengers in the January between 1949 and 1960, and April and July? So if you want to find out the average of all these all together, what you do is you do column means of E. So column means of E. So it will find out the mean of this column, mean of this column, and mean of this column. If that NA.RM equals to true, what does that mean? That means if there is any missing data like NA data, although it is not here, if there is any missing data, it will remove that missing data and find out the mean of the remaining data only. Okay, so the column means, see, there is COL and then uppercase M. Column means, and then E is that data set that you want to find out the means, and then NA.RM equals to true means it will remove the NA data, not available data. Okay, let us do that, and it finds out the average of those columns. Okay, guys. All right. So suppose you want to first find out the column means of this matrix E. Okay, let's say that this is matrix E, right, or this is the data set E. Now you want to find out the mean. Let me find out the mean there. That is the mean, right? Now so if you want to plot the means, the average of these 3 months in a bar plot, what you do is, first of all, you need to give a name. And what I just did is I did N equals to column means of E, dataset E, NA.RM equals true, and then I just printed N, meaning I just wanted to show N whether it is calculating the mean or not. Now what you do is you do bar plot N. Okay, that's what you do. So and then if you do bar plot N, that gives you the bar plot. So if you want to change the color of this, so you can use the code that I provided in the last video. Okay, you can do, and then comma color equals to whatever color you want to give. For example, let's say color equals to, I want to give three colors, so three different colors. Let's say red, okay, red, and then let's say blue, okay, and then let's say green. So if I want to give that color, it will pick those colors there, okay? So you can do whatever you want to do there, all right, guys? So this is how you can find out the mean of a columns. You can find out mean of the rows also, okay? So you can do whatever you want to do there. So this is how you take the time series data into the matrix and then work with those data, okay? Now, suppose you have a regular matrix data, you have a regular random data, and you want to write them in the time series data, like by month and year and so on. How do you do that? Let us see that. So A is the air passenger data. This is the time series data. This is the time series data, okay? Now, so if you want to write this in the matrix, we did that already. That is the matrix data. But since we did not mention how many rows and how many columns, it will print everything in the column form. See? It is printing everything in the column form there, okay? So so basically, if you don't assign, like, so what we did here, we did 12 comma 12, meaning it will write these data into 12 rows and 12 columns. But if you don't give those numbers, it will print everything on the columns in a single column, right? So if you do that, we did that M already. That's what we got. Now I want to put this is now a matrix data. Now I want to put this back to the time series data. How do I do that? Okay, to do this, what you do is, let us do that first. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to define a new matrix called G, new data set called G, which is the time series data of that M, starting from 1949, 1 means January. So C, 1949, 1 means the starting date is 1949 January and frequency is 1. Let us see what it does, okay? So when you do that, oh, by the way, I forgot that this should be 12. So when you do that, then it will print all those data into the time series data set now, okay? Now sometimes you may want to, because some of the data set, they start from April. Not all the data sets start in January and end in the December, right? Some of the data set you may have like missing data in January, February, and they start only from March. In that case, what you do is you start from, let's say 3 there. So that is starting from the March. Okay, let me run this and see, it is giving the gaps there, and then all the data set are, this data is pushed to the March, okay, and then so on. All right, guys, and then see that whenever you push 2 months more, then the 1960 will not fit all those. All this data will move. These two data will move to the 1961 and so on. All right, so let us see one more example on how to write just the regular data into the time series data. So what I'm trying to do here is, what it says is create, let me go into the next line here. Create a 48 random numbers from a normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. Let us do that, okay? So mean 0 and standard deviation 1. So create a 48 random numbers from a normal distribution. Create 48 random numbers from a normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. Place them as a time series data starting from June of 2020. Okay, so how do you create random numbers from a normal distribution? Is R norm. That's the syntax we use. Okay, there are 48. How many 48? The mean is 0 and standard deviation is 1. If you put mean is like whatever number, if you change this number and change this number, it will create around those values. Okay, so let me write that R is that value, right? R is the random numbers, 48 random numbers around 0 with standard deviation 1, with mean 0 and standard deviation 1 that are normally distributed. Now I want to put this in the time series. What I do is TS, R is that data set, start is 2026 is the June, and frequency is the 12, meaning you need to go to the count to the 12 months. Okay, if you do that, then it will be just run that and then run that time series. So what does it do? So it did, let me make it, I do like this, let me make it a little wider so that you can see all the months there. Okay, Look at this. You see that? So it started from June. The first number started from June, and then it keeps going, and then it ends here. I mean, it doesn't have to end here, but there are 48 data set, right? That's why it will end here. We just provide the starting date only. Okay, and then frequency. If you are doing monthly, you do frequency is 12. If you are doing weekly, you do frequency is 7, right? So or daily, if you do frequency is 365, it will create the data daily, and so on. Okay guys, so this is how you write the time series data into the normal data, and normal data into the time series data. All right, thank you.